Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS, and if you look up at the top, we're on the Barry McSuperfat Cockiner account. We are 4.96 million galactic power, which means any day now we're going to hit 5 million galactic power. And since I gear most of my videos as kind of educational and tutorial videos for the new and the mid-game players, especially those of you who are free to play, I want to show you like what you can expect by the time that you hit 5 million GP. Now, huge caveat. Since we do have the greatest free-to-play farming guide link, boom, right above me if you haven't seen it already, the most updated one came out a couple days ago. Very likely, your accounts at each galactic power milestone will be much better than mine, right? Because when I started my account, a lot of the stuff that we utilize today to win our grand arenas and to do all sorts of fancy stuff and make our opponents cry as they slowly get crushed beneath the boot of our awesomeness didn't exist as I was progressing. Of course, this account and many other accounts that I use are for the sole purpose of testing out the farming guide, making sure that you guys can have the easiest possible chance at bumping up to Kyber, winning all your grand arenas, and so forth. So if you guys are starting right now and eventually you get to this 5 million GP mark, your account's going to look much better. But let's go in. So let's talk about like the first, we're going to break this down by millions of galactic power. So we're going to talk the beginning of the game to like 1 million GP. Now, of course, if you guys watch the farming guide, you'll know like the order in which to farm your characters. But generally, your first super team is going to be CLS. You're going to have some Vader action. You're going to be working on your Padme. You'll have a little bit of a bounty hunter squad. Eventually, you'll build up, Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan at about. If you're efficient, you guys, especially if you're experienced players, can definitely do this around, 900 to 1.2, 900k GP to about 1.2 million GP. And then probably at 1.3, 1.4, you're probably going to have, Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, Malak. You probably won't have a General Grievous and General Anakin Skywalker at 1.2, 1.3 million GP. But that's kind of the first million-ish galactic power. You should have all your core teams. You should be dominating your... If you lose a Grand Arena at that point, you're probably facing another APGAINS approved farming guide. Because if you're not, the likelihood of you losing those early matchups to someone who's following a different farming guide are next to impossible. I'm going to be totally honest. You could forget to play or whatever. So from the 1 to like 3 million GP range, let's go 1 to 2. 1 to 2 million GP range, you should be shoring up a couple of teams. You should be adding some more relics. So maybe, your CLS team only had a relic on CLS, but now it has a relic on CLS, Han, Chewie, and, 3PO and Chewie comes up to like year 12 or whatever, and you've unlocked C3PO. It's going to be that 1 to 2 million GP range is going to be a lot of that. It's going to be a lot of characters that are in good squads are being bumped up to relics. So like when you originally only had a relic, Darth Revan Malak, now you have a relic Bastila Shan, and maybe your Marauder is coming up. Because, Malgus will be here someday, and for you guys, if you're just starting out, it'll probably be a lot easier for you to get there in a couple of years or, in a couple months or just whenever. So maybe you're progressing a Marauder. Your Jedi Knight Revan team probably has, now it has a Jedi Knight Revan relic. Now it has a Grandmaster Yoda relic and Jolie's relic. These guys Zeta for the revive. Your Padme squad, has a relic Jedi Anakin and Ahsoka for their ships. A relic GK because you're progressing towards the Negotiator. The 2 to 3 million GP range, that's really when we start to progress a lot in ships. You've probably got your first Get 2 ship in the Negotiator. Please, please, please don't get the Malevolence first. If you go Malevolence first, Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time at my church, I'm not going to tell you where it is, but just show up. We kind of have like an AA style meeting where we say, hi, my name is Joe Schmo, and I farmed Malevolence before Negotiator. And everyone goes, hi, Joe Schmo. And then we kind of like talk through our feelings because we've had traumatic lives because we've made such grave mistakes in going Malevolence over Negotiator. But this is kind of the area where we build up our ships. We get our first Negotiator. Our Rebel fleet's up and running because we farmed our 4 bounty hunter ships to get the MILF. Where is it? The Millennium Falcon. And now we're starting to compile a little bit of fleet power. And then that 2 to 3 million GP range, that's when we have our General Grievous droids team. We have our strong Padme team, which means we're going to be able to get gas. And at that point, that 2.5 million GP point is probably where you should have, some solid relics on all of these core teams right here. Your CLS team, This team is probably assembled, but not highly relic. As you can see, mine's, this is kind of all it ever really needs to be. Your Padme team has some relics. Your Bounty Hunters are relic. Your Darth Revan, your Jedi Revan, your GG droids, and your Gas are all relics. About that 2.5 to 3 million GP range, depending on how efficient you are, is when you're going to start going for your first Galactic Legend, right? Now, if you're in a guild that's, doing pretty decent in Territory Wars, you're going to be getting some R8s. It's actually so much when R8s first came out, like when I first had to start farming Kenobi when he was announced, to now, it's so much easier to get R8s at low GP in worse guilds. I'm kind of envious because it took me forever from where I was at because my guild wasn't doing CPIT. Territory Wars didn't get revamped, so it wasn't offering R8s. So I literally could not get the 2 R8 requirements for Jedi Master Kenobi when it was announced. But now it's so much easier for newer players, lower GP players like you, to get R8s, that Kenobi probably has to be your first Galactic Legend since he's so much better than you. Way better than SLKRC, JML, Rey. Lord Vader, he's better than. Lord Vader's probably second best, but still, he's so much better than everyone else, especially now that Cat's going to become farmable, and you're going to be able to go into the Proving Grounds and kind of passively work on Cat. So now, for most players who aren't at this point yet, who are maybe the 2 million, 3 million GP mark, like, you're likely going to have Cat before you have Kenobi. For most people, it's the other way around. You get Kenobi, and then you just grind out Cat 5 shards at a time in the Conquest score, and it sucks. But now, this is going to be a lot easier for most players. Cat's going to be more accessible for players earlier on. Kenobi's more accessible because of R8s, because of more relic mats, because of Territory Wars. So, you go for Kenobi at about 2.5, 3 million GP, probably 3.5 million GP, you probably have him. And you're sitting pretty. And then you work on some other core teams. You kind of go to those secondary, tertiary squads. You get your Imperial Troopers up. You slap a couple of Omicrons around. You're swinging around. Your ships are coming up. And then you go for the Executor, right? After you get your Kenobi, you go for the Executor. And this is where it starts to go from, like, our opponents see us, and they're like, shit, it's an APGAINS approved farming guide. I stand no chance because I followed my own path, and now I'm getting screwed over left, right, and center. And then once you pile on the Executor on top of that, it's rough. It's going to be rough for your opponents. It's going to be very, 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 very rough for your opponents. You're going to be able to beat them any way you want. So this is where, like, it starts to get really fun, because now we go from just kind of dominating on defense and then being more efficient and just absolutely, PP slapping our opponents straight to the face, to now we have so much flexibility that if we want to win with our ships, we can win with our ships. We want to win with our characters, we can win with our characters. If we want to slap our PPs around on defense or on offense, we can do whatever we want because we have so much flexibility, and we're going to be punching up so much farther than all these other people who kind of haven't really had the advantage of years of AP's work and, trial and error and failures and success to help guide you forward. So this is kind of the turning point where it starts to get really, really, really embarrassing for our opponents. And then once we pile that on, that like 4 million to 5 million GP range is kind of like all ships and working on a second Galactic Legend. I would say maybe it's JML. Probably it's Lord Vader. I kind of wish I went Lord Vader over JML. Like, I just unlocked Jedi Knight Luke, wherever he is. He's probably going to be lower on the GP because I don't have any Zetas on him. I just have one. I just unlocked Jedi Knight Luke, and he's cool. I'm excited to use him. He's not going to be as useful in 3v3. Like, he's more of a 5v5 kind of character because I just wanted to have a quick and easy off-meta SLKR counter. And then pushing up to JML is going to be kind of annoying. I have to go Old Ben to 5, Wedge, and Biggs, and Princess Leia to 3, R2-D2 to 7, Mon Mothma to 5, I think. So that's going to be kind of annoying. So maybe when you're at that 4 million GP mark, you just got Executors, worked on a couple other teams, you got them up. I would say probably I would recommend going for Lord Vader. It's probably going to be the better path, in my opinion. Lord Vader's better than JML. The Bad Batch are really good. Yes, you're not going to get an A-tier character like Jedi Knight Luke, but I don't know. I feel like the requirements are just less painful because a lot of them, especially now, are more useful. I feel like that was kind of their Lord Vader buff in a certain extent because he's sitting pretty firm at second best GL, and a lot of people were clamoring for him to be better than he already is, which is a little ridiculous because on offense he's a monster. But they basically just buffed all of his requirements, which made it a lot better. They gave Embo an Omicron, Tuscan as an Omicron, the Bad Batch are amazing, and all of that sort of good stuff. So whether or not from the 4 to 5 million GP range you want to go for JML or Lord Vader, or probably at that point there's another Galactic Legend, and we've kind of updated this video. That is your prerogative. But I can't wait to see what you guys do, because I can win all my Grand Arenas and be happy and be just over the moon about the account that I've built. But seeing you guys like have the ability to perfect what I've spent so many years working on is kind of like watching your son grow up in a certain weird way. Like you guys coming to me and being like, APGAINS, I did this. I climbed so much higher now in a Grand Arena than I ever thought I could. I'm winning my GACs. My opponents can't beat this team. I'm countering this off meta. I'm doing it like it just showing up to the streams every day, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You guys are just like bringing tears to my eyes, honestly. Like it's just so amazing to see. So I'm gonna get out of here. It's Massive PP May. Let me know what you're doing for Massive PP May. Like the video for Ballsack Bugs Bunny, of course. Subscribe to help my ego grow. And as always, I love you, and I'll see you later.